Thursday, August 27th, 2020, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So I just finished watching Jay Powell's pronouncement to the Jackson Hole virtual conference. He said that the community, right? They've been meeting with the community, minorities, all kinds of communities over the last few years, talking to them, seeing what they want. And according to him, the community wants inflation. And that's why the Federal Reserve is going to try to keep that inflation target at 2%. And if you work out, do a little bit of math, if you keep inflation at 2% or the CPI, as he calls it, at 2% over 20 years, you debase the value of the currency by 50%. So he's giving the public what they want. They'd rather have inflation than a sound currency. And the excuse, of course, is that it will create jobs, which is, in my opinion, a load of baloney, of course. But the community gives the Federal Reserve its cover, its excuse for inflating. The real truth of it, of course, as we know, if you've been watching my videos and my analysis, is that the Fed needs to keep inflating the financial system in order to keep the banks going, to keep this charade of that bubble going. That bubble that only benefits really the top 1% and those around it, of course. Wealth inequality has gotten worse ever since the US left the gold standard back in 1971. Not the gold standard, but the gold exchange standard under the Bretton Woods system. Since Nixon took the dollar off gold, we've seen massive inflation. And you might say, well, 2% is very low inflation, but that's something that I've talked about. I did a video a few days ago, and I've done many videos in the past talking about the difference between inflation and rising prices, and the fact that people like Powell, the Wall Street economists, the politicians, all the people who benefit from the inflation of the monetary system, inflation of credit, inflation of asset prices, they're not being honest with the community and the public about what inflation really is. How can it be beneficial for the people that the currency that they use for everyday transaction loses 50% of its value over 20 years? How can that be good for the employment picture? Unfortunately, that's the Keynesian mindset, the inflationary mindset. So it's very interesting. So Jay Powell said, you know, it's what the people want. He even mentioned the word democracy. It's almost like the Federal Reserve is now a democratic institution. But to finish off, I just want to tell you a story about Ron Paul. I met Ron Paul in 2002 at the Mises Institute 20th anniversary conference. The Mises Institute is in Auburn, Alabama, and it's the major center of learning for the Austrian School of Economics. So there were several lectures at this conference, and one of the lectures, Ron Paul was watching that lecture as well. He was sitting down. I was sitting down fairly close to him. So at the end of the lecture, I went up to him and talked about the day he took Gold and Economic Freedom, which was an essay Greenspan wrote in 1966. And he went to Greenspan and asked him to autograph it after one of the committee hearings that Ron Paul used to grill Alan Greenspan during those hearings. And he asked him to autograph that. And Ron Paul was telling me the story, and he said, Mr. Greenspan, do you still believe in everything you said about sound money, about gold, how important it is? And he said, yeah, nothing's changed. I still believe in that. And he said, the problem is that the people, they want the inflation, they want the easy money. So there you go. It's up to the public, really. And Jay Powell, he's come out and said the same thing. The public want de-inflation, and we're going to give it to them. I'm not surprised that he's come out and said that the Fed is going to be even more loose with the monetary policy. And why is that? Well, because they're going to try to run their measures of inflation even higher than previously thought. So what about the markets? Well, we did see gold and silver trade up quite strongly while he was speaking. Gold got up to 1977, silver got up to almost $28, and now we've dropped back and we're actually down on the day. Am I concerned about these moves? No. You need more than ever, in my opinion, to be in precious metals. You need to get rid of fiat currency because they're going to keep inflating the system. And they have now the backing of the community, right? And the backing, of course, of Wall Street. Wall Street always loves inflation. And so there you go. Don't be discouraged by the short-term moves in the price of gold and silver. But these are just short-term moves. Another great opportunity, in my opinion, to keep stacking real money because the Federal Reserve notes or the paper dollar is only going one way. And Mr. Powell has told us that. He's going to keep debasing it because that's what the people want. So there you go. No end in sight to the inflation. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and all these other platforms below here. I wish you all a great rest of the day. Take care. Bye.